The plane hummed softly as it soared above the clouds, sunlight spilling through the small oval windows. Samantha Wells sat quietly in seat 14A, fingers curled around a lukewarm cup of coffee. To most, she looked like just another economy passenger. Earbuds in, hoodie up, lost in her own world. But beneath that calm exterior lived a woman who had once walked away from the sky. For good. She hadn't flown in 3 years. Not since the accident. Not since the day that changed everything. But this flight, LA to Chicago, was unavoidable. Her best friend was getting married, and despite her fear, she'd promised to be there. So here she was, gripping the armrest tighter with every bit of turbulence. In the cockpit, the pilots were relaxed. The weather was clear, systems normal, and autopilot was engaged. Everything was routine, until it wasn't. At 38,000 feet, a loud, unnatural grinding noise tore through the cabin. Passengers flinched. The plane jolted violently, dropping a few hundred feet in seconds. Trays flew, cups spilled, and a child began to cry. Flight attendants rushed down the aisles trying to calm everyone. Samantha's heart pounded, but her eyes stayed focused. Something was wrong. Seriously wrong. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor technical issue. Please remain seated and keep your seatbelts fastened." But Samantha could hear it in his voice, the strain, the fear hiding behind practiced calm. She unbuckled her seatbelt without thinking. The passenger next to her grabbed her arm. "Hey, wait, where are you going?" She looked him dead in the eye. "To help." "You're just a passenger." She didn't answer. She was already moving, weaving past panicked travelers and stunned flight attendants. She reached the cockpit door and knocked. The co-pilot opened it, wide-eyed. "Ma'am, you can't be here." She met his gaze. "I'm Samantha Wells, former Air Force pilot. You're in trouble, and you need me." The pilot turned to her, pale and sweating. "The controls, they're not responding." Samantha stepped inside, eyes scanning the instruments. Her voice was calm. "Then let me fly." The cockpit was a storm of alarms, blinking lights, and fear. Samantha's boots echoed on the metal floor as she stepped in, her presence sharp and certain, like she belonged there. The co-pilot hesitated, but the captain nodded slightly, stepping aside just enough for her to slide into the jump seat. She didn't need a full explanation. Her eyes darted to the attitude indicator, the throttle, the fuel gauges, and then to the yoke. Unresponsive, stiff like it had locked mid-flight. Autopilot was dead, and manual control wasn't kicking in. "What happened?" she asked, already moving to reset hydraulic systems. "We lost hydraulics after turbulence. Then electrical started acting up. We tried rebooting. Nothing." Samantha exhaled sharply through her nose. "What about backup systems?" "We're on them now, but we've lost aileron control, and pitch is sluggish." In coach, panic had begun to spread. One woman was screaming into her phone. A man was clutching a Bible, and kids were sobbing. A flight attendant leaned into the cockpit, her voice trembling. "Passengers are freaking out. We need answers." Samantha didn't look back. "Tell them we're working on it, and keep them seated." She turned to the pilots. "We can't land like this. We need manual override." "There's no guarantee it'll even work." She cut him off. "If we do nothing, we crash." For a second, silence. Then the captain gestured toward the manual lever. "You really used to fly F-16s?" the co-pilot asked, unsure whether to be impressed or terrified. Samantha grinned slightly. "That and more." The lever was jammed. She pulled with everything she had, gritting her teeth as it resisted. Then, a loud clunk. The controls loosened slightly. "We've got partial response," the captain shouted. The plane trembled again, but this time it wasn't falling. Samantha could feel it. Slight but real. Control. Her fingers curled around the yoke like old instincts had never left. "I'll keep her steady," she said. "You work on comms. We need clearance and a nearby runway." The pilots looked at her like they just remembered how to hope. And back in the cabin, 148 souls waited, unknowingly, for a passenger to save them. The cockpit felt like a war zone. Warning lights still flashed, and the intercom buzzed with static, but Samantha stayed locked in. Her hands were firm on the yoke, fighting the resistance like a boxer in round 12. Sweat slid down her temple, but her voice remained steady. "Talk to me," she said to the captain. "We've got partial elevator and rudder, but still no ailerons. And comms are only transmitting, not receiving. A TC can hear us, but we can't hear them." Samantha cursed under her breath. That meant no incoming instructions, no weather updates, no runway status, just guesswork. But guessing wasn't new to her. Combat missions had been messier. "Where's the nearest airstrip?" The co-pilot pulled up a faded map on his tablet. "Looks like there's a small regional airport 60 miles northeast. Wexler Field. Runway's short, but it's our best shot." Samantha nodded. "Plot a direct path. We'll make it work." Back in the cabin, tension gripped every seat like a storm cloud. The flight attendants moved briskly, giving out oxygen masks and repeating instructions that sounded more desperate each time. One of them, Mia, stepped into the cockpit again. "People want to know who's flying this thing." Samantha didn't turn. "Tell them a former Air Force pilot just clocked back in." Mia blinked. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious." Mia ran back, clapping her hands for attention. "Listen up. A trained combat pilot is flying this plane now, and she's got it under control." The mood shifted. Not completely, but enough. A few gasps, a few prayers whispered with more belief. People clung to that one thread of hope like it was oxygen. Back in the cockpit, the sky darkened slightly. A front moving in. The radar flickered. "Thunderhead's ahead." "Of course," Samantha muttered. "Wouldn't be a proper comeback without a storm." The plane rocked again as they dipped lower. Controls were better, but still far from smooth. Every move felt like dragging a stubborn anchor through mud. The co-pilot looked over. "You sure you're up for this?" Samantha stared straight ahead, eyes narrowed. "I didn't come this far to crash now." She tightened her grip. "Let's bring them home." The clouds swallowed them whole. Rain streaked across the windshield in slanted lines as the plane pierced the growing storm. Visibility dropped to near zero. Lightning flashed in the distance, casting a ghostly white glow across Samantha's face. Still, her grip didn't waver. The controls fought her with every inch. The yoke jerked slightly left, resisting correction. The rudder pedals vibrated under her boots. But she adjusted, countered, stayed ahead of the motion. Years of muscle memory kicked in. Her body remembered even when her mind screamed about the danger. "Altitude dropping. We're at 18,000 and falling," the co-pilot warned. Samantha didn't panic. "That's fine. We need to descend anyway. What's our distance to Wexler Field?" 24 miles in closing." The captain pointed to a small cluster of lights flickering on the radar. "That's our target. But if we drop too fast—" "I won't let us," she said. "Trim back the throttle. Let me feel her." Outside, lightning cracked again. Closer this time. The plane lurched and passengers screamed as overhead bins popped open. A suitcase tumbled out and hit the floor with a dull thud. In the back, someone yelled, "We're going to die!" Mia, the flight attendant, stormed up the aisle. "No, we're not! Sit down, buckle up, and trust the woman flying this plane." Her voice rang with a kind of desperate certainty. And for a second, just a second, it silenced the fear. In the cockpit, Samantha's knuckles were white on the yoke. "Landing gear?" she asked. The captain hesitated. "We haven't tried. Might jam. If it doesn't deploy, we're skidding on metal. Try it." He flipped the switch. A mechanical whir filled the cabin, followed by a deep grinding noise. Then silence. No green light. "It's stuck," he said quietly. Samantha closed her eyes for 1 second, then opened them. "Manual crank. Where is it?" "Behind the access panel. I'll get it," the co-pilot said, climbing out of his seat. "Keep us steady," she muttered. "We're running out of sky." Rain pelted the plane like fists. The runway was close now. Still out of sight, but close. This wasn't just flying anymore. This was survival, and Samantha Wells wasn't about to lose. Not this time. 15 miles, the captain said, eyes flicking to the altimeter. "We're down to 9,000 feet. The storm roared louder, wind buffeting the aircraft like it wanted to shake them from the sky. Samantha gritted her teeth and pulled slightly right to correct the yaw. Her muscles burned. The yoke was stiff again, as if the plane itself was deciding whether it still wanted to live. The co-pilot returned, sweat dripping from his forehead. Manual cranks jammed. We might get one gear down, maybe two. Samantha didn't flinch. That's all I need. She didn't explain. There wasn't time. But in her mind, she was already building the landing in her head. Approach angle, flare timing, touchdown speed. With one or two wheels down, it would be a controlled crash at best. But if she did it right, it could still mean everyone walked away. Bring flaps down to 15, she ordered. The captain hesitated. Too soon? Do it. She's heavy, and we need the drag. He nodded and flipped the switch. The sound of the flaps adjusting was strained but functional. Samantha exhaled. In the cabin, people were holding hands. Some were crying. A father quietly strapped his little girl tighter into her seat. A teen whispered into her phone, "I love you, Mom." But no one screamed anymore. Hope had taken root, fragile but growing. At 5,000 feet, the clouds began to thin. Then, like curtains pulling back, the runway appeared. Dim, wet, and surrounded by nothing but forest. No towers, no city skyline. Just that one narrow strip of salvation. There it is, the captain said, almost breathless. Samantha nodded. Gear status. Front gear's confirmed. Rear left is halfway. Right's dead. That's enough, she muttered. We'll roll in crooked, but we'll roll in. She turned to the captain. Get on the intercom. Tell them to brace. What about you? He asked. She looked at him for a beat. Steady, fearless. I've landed worse in the dark with smoke in my eyes and half a wing missing. He stared at her. You're serious? Samantha gave the smallest smile. Dead serious. Then she pushed the yoke gently forward. The descent had begun. The runway loomed ahead, slick with rain, barely lit but real. Samantha's breath slowed, her focus sharpening until the rest of the world fell away. It was just her, the plane, and the 1,000 decisions between now and the ground. Speed? She asked. 140 knots, the captain replied. Too fast, bringing it down to 125. She nudged the throttle back with precision, feeling the slight drop in resistance. The plane dipped, gliding toward the strip like a bird fighting gravity with everything it had. Warning chimes echoed. The right gear still hadn't dropped. There would be sparks. Maybe fire. Flaps to 30, she said. The co-pilot obeyed. The plane slowed, nose rising slightly. In the back, passengers were in brace position. Arms over heads, feet flat, hearts pounding. Mia walked the aisle one last time, voice steady. Stay down. Stay calm. We're almost there. Samantha leveled the plane, hands firm. Rain sprayed against the glass. The runway was just seconds away. Touchdown in 3, she whispered. 2, 1. The front gear hit first, a loud grinding slam. Then the left rear caught, dragging hard. The right side dipped. No gear. The wing screeched as it scraped the ground, sparks bursting into the stormy night. The plane veered left, tires locking, metal screaming. Oxygen mask dropped. Lights flickered. Samantha fought the yoke, countering the drag with everything she had. Hold, come on, hold! The plane slowed, slid, skidded, then stopped. Silence. For one long second, no one moved. Then a baby cried. Someone clapped. Then another. Applause broke out. Shaky, overwhelmed, full of disbelief. People were weeping, hugging, cheering. In the cockpit, Samantha let go of the yoke. Her arms trembled. Her eyes welled, but she blinked fast, hiding it. You did it, the captain whispered. No, she said quietly. We did it. Emergency lights flashed outside. Fire trucks roared toward them, but the danger had passed. The co-pilot looked at her, stunned. Why did you ever stop flying? Samantha stood, shoulders squared. Because I forgot who I was. He stared at her. And now? She looked back at the passengers, alive, safe. Now I remember. She opened the cockpit door. 148 people stared at her in awe, a hero who was never supposed to fly again. But when it mattered most, she soared.